The Houston wedding glittered, but my sister Jessica's smile hid a deadly lie. I'm Maggie Winston, blindsided when Robert, my husband, yanked me from the feast. "It's poisoned," he hissed, spotting Jessica's plot to spike my plate with peanut oil, aiming for my $500,000 inheritance. Her greed turned love to ash. I didn't shatter. I struck back, exposing her to the world. This is my fight for survival. Call to action. Drop it below, like, and subscribe to my channel for more Reddit fire that roars. Share your spark below. The Houston sun dipped low, casting a golden haze over the Grand Pacific Hotel's chandeliers. I'm Maggie Winston, 42, real estate agent, smoothing my navy dress in the dressing room mirror. Jessica, my sister, chose it, saying it brought out my eyes. Her wedding day pulsed with promise, and I wanted to bask in her joy. After years of her rocky romances, she'd found David Harrison, and my heart swelled for her. I dabbed on lipstick, picturing her radiant in lace. Our childhood competitions faded by shared grief over Dad's passing. Leona, our mom, had called it a day to celebrate family, and I believed her. Robert Winston, my husband of 12 years, knocked softly. His firefighter's frame filled the doorway, suit crisp, eyes warm. "Maggie, you're stunning," he said, his smile stirring the same flutter as our own wedding. "Jessica's gonna shine," I replied, adjusting my earrings. We chatted about David, his steady charm, his restaurant success. "He's good for her," Robert said, easing my lingering doubts. I headed to the bridal suite, memories flooding, Jessica's vibrant laugh, my quiet hours reading, Dad praising her sparkle while calling me steady. After his death, we'd grown closer, or so I thought, holding hands through his final days. In the suite, Jessica glowed, her silk gown trailing like a dream. "You're perfect, Jessie," I said, voice catching. Leona, fussing with the veil, smiled. "Your dad's watching, girls." We clasped hands, a moment of warmth before the chapel called. The sanctuary sparkled, white roses, calla lilies, crystal lights dancing. Guests filled the pews, Leona dabbing tears up front. Robert pointed out Jessica's college friends, their gowns bright, laughter loud. The organ swelled, and David took the altar, nervous but devoted. Jessica entered, arm in Leona's, her veil a soft halo, her smile piercing my heart as our eyes met. The vows were magic. "David Harrison, do you take Jessica Winston?" The minister's voice rang. David's "I do" trembled with love. Jessica's "I do" was clear, her gaze locked on him. They slipped rings on, promising forever, and I gripped Robert's hand, our own vows echoing from years past. The kiss sparked applause, my tears falling freely. Jessica waved as she passed, her happiness a light I wanted to hold forever. The reception glittered in the ballroom, roses and candles on every table. Jessica's new dress flowed, David beamed. Their speeches thanked us, Leona me, for making it special. I smiled, heart full, sipping champagne. Dinner began, smoked salmon canapes delighting the table. Leona chatted with David's parents, warm and kind. The fish course arrived, whitefish, lemon butter sauce, a work of art. But Robert's eyes sharpened, his hand tensing on the tablecloth. He leaned close, voice low, urgent. "We're leaving. Now." I blinked, the room's joy fading. "What's wrong?" I whispered. But he was already standing, pulling me gently. Guests ate, oblivious, as we moved toward the exit. Leona didn't notice, lost in talk. Jessica's laugh rang out, but her glance my way felt sharp. In the elevator, Robert's silence was a storm. The Houston night waited outside, and my heart sensed a crack in the day's perfection. Joy hides lies sharper than any knife. The Houston night blurred past the car windows, city lights streaking like tears I couldn't shed. I'm Maggie Winston, 42, real estate agent. My heart still racing from Robert's urgent pull from Jessica's wedding. We left the Grand Pacific Hotel's glow behind, the ballroom's roses and laughter now a distant sting. In the parking garage, Robert's silence was heavy, his firefighter's hands gripping the wheel. He drove to a quiet street, parked, and turned off the engine. Shadows from a streetlight carved his face, his brown eyes hard with something unspoken. "Maggie," he said, voice low. "Did you notice anything at the table?" I frowned, confused. Notice what? The fish course? Everyone was eating. He shook his head, exhaling. "I saw Jessica with the chef before the food came out. She pointed to your plate, your seat number. She gave him a bottle. Peanut oil." My breath caught. Peanut oil? My allergy nearly killed me years ago. Hives, choking, blood pressure crashing. I told the hotel, and Jessica knew, promising to be careful. "That's impossible," I stammered. "She'd never hurt me." Robert's jaw tightened. "I know what I saw. That bottle's shape, the label. I've seen it in allergy emergencies. She told the chef to add it to your food." My mind spun. The chapel's white roses and Jessica's radiant smile twisting into something dark. "Why?" I whispered, voice breaking. Robert pulled papers from the dashboard, his hands steady but heavy. "Last month, Jessica asked about Dad's will. She wanted to know what happens to your share if something happened to you." I gasped, the pieces snapping together. Dad's will gave me 70% of his $500,000 estate for my years of caregiving. Hospital runs, late nights, my life reshaped for him. Jessica got 30%. "There's a clause," Robert said. "If you die first, she gets it all." My chest burned. Jessica, my sister, who I'd held through heartbreaks, who I'd nursed Dad with, had planned this. For money? "She talked about a restaurant chain," Robert added. "David mentioned it, not knowing what it meant. Your inheritance, Maggie. She wanted it for their business." I stared at my hands, trembling. The vows, her "I do," her warm smile as she walked down the aisle. It was a performance, a perfect wedding, a perfect accident. No one would suspect. I shook my head, tears spilling. I cared for Dad for 10 years. She never visited. And this? Robert took my hand, his grip firm. "I won't let her hurt you. I'm calling the hotel. Anonymous tip about an allergen in a guest's food. We'll get evidence." His voice was a lifeline, pulling me from the wreckage. I nodded, my heart shattered, but my resolve hardening. Jessica thought I'd be her silent victim. She was wrong. This wasn't just about money. It was about love twisted into greed, family into betrayal. I'd spent years building bridges with Jessica, only to find she'd burned them for a check. Robert started the car, his promise clear. We'd fight back, not with rage, but with truth. Some lies hide in plain sight, waiting to be seen. I'm Maggie Winston, 42, sitting in our Houston home, the city's humid night pressing against the windows. Jessica's wedding at the Grand Pacific Hotel feels like a dream turned nightmare. Her smile, her vows, the roses, all a mask for a plot to kill me with peanut oil, my deadly allergy, for my $500,000 inheritance. My hands shake as I grip a coffee mug, the kitchen clock ticking too loud. Robert, my husband, paces, phone in hand, his firefighter's calm, battling rage. He's already called the hotel, reporting an allergen in a guest's dish. Anonymous but urgent. I can't unsee her face. Jessica's, radiant as she walked down the aisle. We'd grown close after Dad's death, sharing his final days, or so I thought. She'd asked about his will last month. Casual, probing. "What if something happened to you, Maggie?" I brushed it off, trusting her love. Now, it's a knife in my gut. Robert sits beside me, laptop open. "The hotel's checking security footage," he says. "They'll find her with the chef." I nod, numb. My sister, who I'd cheered for, planned to watch me choke, blaming an accident to claim Dad's estate. The phone buzzes. Robert's contact at the hotel. "Got it," he says, voice tight. Security cameras caught Jessica in the kitchen, pointing to my plate, handing the chef a bottle. Her smile was cold, calculated, nothing like the sister I knew. Robert pulls up another file. Texts from Jessica's phone, accessed through a family cloud we'd shared for years. "Maggie's share will fund our chain. she wrote to David, her groom, weeks ago. After the wedding, it's ours. David didn't know, I'm sure. His eyes at the altar were too genuine. But Jessica's greed was clear, her words a blueprint for murder. I stare at the screen, heart splintering. 10 years caring for Dad, hospital runs, late nights, my life reshaped. Earned me his trust, his legacy. Jessica never showed, always busy. Now she wanted it all. Robert's hand finds mine. We're documenting this, he says. Every text, every frame. She won't escape this. I nod, my resolve hardening like Texas clay. I'd loved her, but love doesn't blind you to poison. This isn't just about money. It's about a sister who turned family into a game of greed. I'm not her pawn anymore. Lies unravel when you hold the proof. The Houston morning was heavy, humidity clinging to our small bungalow's windows. I'm Maggie Winston, 42, still reeling from Jessica's wedding, where she tried to poison me with peanut oil for my $500,000 inheritance. The kitchen table, usually warm with Robert's coffee and laughter, felt like a war room. My hands, wrapped around a cold mug, trembled as I stared at the evidence. Hotel footage, Jessica's texts plotting to fund her restaurant chain with my death. Robert, my firefighter husband, sat across from me, his steady gaze my anchor. We'd reported the allergen sabotage anonymously, and the hotel's investigation was underway, but the wound of my sister's betrayal cut deeper than I could name. The doorbell rang, sharp in the quiet. David, Jessica's groom, stood on the porch, his face pale, eyes red. He was still in a suit, rumpled, as if he hadn't slept since the wedding. "Maggie, can we talk?" he asked, voice cracking. I nodded, letting him in, though my chest tightened. He sat, hands twisting, unaware of the full truth. "I heard the wedding stopped. Food poisoning rumors. What happened?" Robert glanced at me, letting me lead. I took a breath, steadying myself. "It wasn't poisoning, David. Jessica told the chef to add peanut oil to my food. She knew about my allergy." David's eyes widened, his breath hitching. "No, that's impossible." I slid the laptop toward him, showing the security footage. Jessica pointing to my plate, handing over the bottle, her smile cold. Then the texts. "Maggie's share will fund our chain. After the wedding, it's ours." His face crumpled, hands shaking as he read. "I didn't know," he whispered. "She talked about expanding, but I thought it was her money." I believed him. His love for her at the altar was real, unguarded. But Jessica had used him too, weaving him into her scheme without a hint. "I'm filing for divorce," David said, voice breaking. "I can't build a life on this." I nodded, my throat tight. Jessica's lawyer had already called, claiming temporary insanity, but the evidence was ironclad. Camera footage, messages, her premeditated greed. "She's reaching out, Maggie," David added, "through her lawyer. Wants to explain." I shook my head, firm. "No, I'm done." My voice was steady, but inside I ached. Jessica's smile, her childhood laughter, our shared grief over Dad, they were real once. But she'd chosen money over me, poison over love. Robert squeezed my hand. "We're taking this to court if needed," he said. David stood, eyes hollow. "I'm sorry, Maggie. I should have seen her for who she was." He left, the door clicking shut like a final note. I stared at the table, the weight of her betrayal settling. I'd loved her fiercely, but I wouldn't be her victim. Betrayal cuts deepest when it wears love's face. The Houston air was thick, the morning sun barely cutting through the haze outside our bungalow. I'm Maggie Winston, 42, my heart still raw from Jessica's wedding, where she tried to poison me with peanut oil for my $500,000 inheritance. The kitchen smelled of coffee, but the weight of betrayal lingered, heavier than the humid Texas dawn. Robert, my firefighter husband, was at work, leaving me alone with my thoughts. The evidence, hotel footage, Jessica's texts plotting a restaurant chain with my death money, sat on the table, a silent accusation. I hadn't slept, my mind replaying Jessica's smile, her vows, now tainted by greed. The doorbell chimed, soft but jarring. Leona, Mom, stood on the porch, her face pale, eyes swollen from crying. Her usual poise, honed at church luncheons, was gone, replaced by a trembling lip. "Maggie, can I come in?" she asked, voice barely above a whisper. I nodded, stepping aside, my chest tight. She sat at the kitchen table, hands twisting a handkerchief. "I heard about Jessica," she started, voice cracking. "The peanut oil, the will, I didn't know." I stayed silent, letting her words hang. She'd been at the wedding, dabbing tears, praising Jessica's glow, blind to her darkness. "I failed you," she said, tears spilling. "I doted on Jessica, her charm, her spark. When your dad was sick, I leaned on you, Maggie. You were there, hospital runs, late nights, 10 years of care. I never asked her to help. I thought she was too busy, too fragile." Her voice broke, and I saw Dad's final days flash by, me adjusting my work, holding his hand, while Jessica sent excuses. "I created this," Mom whispered. "Her resentment, her greed, it's my fault." My throat burned. I'd carried Dad's weight, thinking it was love, not a burden only I bore. I wanted to scream, but instead, I sat across from her. "It's not your fault, Mom," I said, voice steady. "Jessica chose this. She planned it." Leona sobbed, reaching for my hand, but I pulled back, just an inch. "I forgive you," I said, "but I need space. I can't be the one who fixes everything anymore." Her eyes widened, pain mixing with understanding. I wasn't rejecting her, but I was done being the family's anchor without reciprocation. She nodded, wiping her face. "I want to make this right, Maggie. For you, for us." I believed her, but trust was a cracked vase, not broken, but fragile. We'd rebuild, slowly, with honesty, not blind loyalty. Robert's words echoed, "Family is who loves you, not just blood." I held that truth, my heart lighter, but guarded. Family isn't blood, it's who stays. The Houston sun beat down, its heat no match for the storm in my heart. I'm Maggie Winston, 42, real estate agent grappling with Jessica's attempt to poison me at her wedding for my $500,000 inheritance. Our bungalow's living room, usually a haven of Robert's laughter and coffee, felt like a courtroom. The news had broken. Local headlines screamed, "Wedding halted by allergen scandal at Grand Pacific Hotel." Jessica faced attempted murder charges, her plan exposed by hotel footage and texts plotting to seize my share for her restaurant chain. I sat on the couch, laptop open, the evidence a weight I couldn't shake. My inbox overflowed with family emails, a jagged split in loyalties. Aunt Clara, who held my hand at Dad's funeral, wrote, "You did right, Maggie. I had no idea what Jessica was capable of." Her words warmed me, a flicker of support, but others stung. Cousin Ellen, Jessica's old cheerleader, typed, "You've humiliated your mother. This should have stayed private." I stared at the screen, my chest tight. They thought I was the villain for exposing truth, as if silence would have saved me from peanut oil, from death. Mom, Leona, hadn't spoken since her tearful apology, her silence louder than words. She'd favored Jessica's charm, leaving me to carry Dad's final years alone, and now she faced the wreckage of that choice. The phone rang. Sarah Miller, my friend since college, her voice a lifeline. "Blood doesn't make family, Maggie," she said, her Houston drawl firm. "It's the ones who show up, who love you without strings." She'd driven over the night of the wedding, bringing wine and fierce hugs when I told her about Jessica's plot. Now she sat across from me, eyes steady. "You're not alone," she said. "Robert, me, your neighbors, we're your family." Her words cracked something open, not pain, but clarity. I'd spent years chasing Jessica's love, thinking blood meant duty, but duty had nearly killed me. Robert came home, his firefighter's boots heavy on the wood floor. He'd been fielding calls from friends, shocked by the headlines. "They're talking at the station," he said, sitting beside me. "People are on your side." I nodded, feeling the shift. Jessica's mask had fallen. Her church luncheon smiles, her PTA poise couldn't hide attempted murder. David, her groom, had filed for divorce, his apology still ringing in my ears. The community, once dazzled by Jessica, now whispered about her greed. I wasn't hiding anymore, no longer the quiet sister who took the weight. Sarah poured coffee, her presence grounding. "You're stronger than they ever knew," she said. I looked at her, then Robert, their faces my true home. The headlines, the emails, the charges, they were noise. What mattered was this: people who saw me, who stayed. I wasn't defined by Jessica's betrayal anymore. I was building something new, rooted in truth, not blood. Truth builds stronger bonds than blood. The Houston courtroom smelled of polished wood and tension, its high ceilings echoing softly with murmurs. I'm Maggie Winston, 42, real estate agent, sitting in a hard pew, my heart steady despite the storm of Jessica's betrayal. She tried to kill me at her wedding, spiking my food with peanut oil for my $500,000 inheritance. Now, weeks later, she faced attempted murder charges, her once charming smile nowhere in sight. Robert, my firefighter husband, sat beside me, his hand a quiet anchor. The evidence, hotel footage, her texts plotting to fund a restaurant chain with my death, lay ready, a truth too heavy to deny. Jessica stood at the defense table, her face pale, eyes darting. Her lawyer, sharp-suited, leaned in, whispering about temporary insanity, but the evidence was a wall they couldn't climb. The prosecutor laid it out. Security cameras catching Jessica handing the chef a bottle, pointing to my plate. Her texts to David spelling out her greed. "Maggie's share will fund our chain," she'd written, cold as the Houston winter creeping in. David, now divorcing her, had turned over more messages, his honesty a blade against her lies. I glanced at him across the room, his eyes hollow. A man betrayed by the woman he'd vowed to love. The judge, stern and gray-haired, called me to testify. I walked to the stand, my steps firm on the cold floor. "I trusted my sister," I said, voice clear. "She knew my allergy could kill me. She planned it anyway." The courtroom stilled, the weight of my words sinking in. Jessica's lawyer tried to spin it, stress, confusion, but the judge's eyes narrowed. The footage played on a screen. Jessica's calculated nod to the chef, her smile devoid of warmth. The texts followed, projected large, each word a nail in her defense. The insanity plea crumbled under the clarity of her intent. The judge's gavel fell like a thunderclap. "Jessica Winston, you are charged with attempted murder. Bail denied pending trial. Psychological evaluation ordered." Jessica's shoulders slumped, her gaze fixed on the floor as if it could swallow her guilt. I felt no triumph, only a quiet release. Robert squeezed my hand as we left, the courthouse steps gleaming under the Texas sun. I'd faced her, not with anger, but with truth, and it was enough. Outside, the air was crisp, the city humming beyond. I wasn't the sister who carried everyone's weight anymore. I was Maggie, seen, standing, free. Justice stands taller than tears. The Houston spring bloomed outside our bungalow, jasmine scent drifting through open windows. I'm Maggie Winston, 42, real estate agent, piecing myself back together after Jessica's wedding, where she tried to kill me with peanut oil for my $500,000 inheritance. The courtroom's echo, her attempted murder charges, the damning footage, her texts still lingered. But I was done letting it define me. My office desk, cluttered with listings, felt like a fresh start. I was showing houses again, guiding families through Houston's sprawling suburbs, my smile steadier each day. Robert, my firefighter husband, was my rock. His morning coffee runs a quiet ritual. He'd saved me that night, spotting Jessica's plot, and now he checked in daily, his brown eyes soft but vigilant. "You're doing great, Maggie," he said, dropping off a to-go cup before his shift. Friends rallied too. Sarah Miller, my college buddy, showed up with tacos and stories, her laugh filling our living room. "You're tougher than Texas heat," she said, hugging me tight. Neighbors left casseroles. Co-workers sent texts. "We've got you." Their support wasn't loud, but it was solid, a foundation I hadn't seen before Jessica's betrayal. I started therapy, a small office downtown, where I unpacked the weight of those years caring for Dad. 10 years of hospital runs, late nights, my life reshaped for him. Jessica never showed, yet I'd carried no resentment, only love. Now I saw it clearly. I'd given everything, and she'd wanted more, her greed a blade aimed at my heart. "You were enough," my therapist said, and the words hit hard. I'd spent years proving my worth through sacrifice, thinking it made me family. But family wasn't blood. It was Robert's steady hand, Sarah's fierce loyalty, the neighbors who didn't ask for explanations. One evening, I sat on our porch, the Houston sky streaked pink. I thought of Dad, his will leaving me 70% for my care, a gift Jessica tried to steal. Pride swelled, not in the money, but in my devotion. I'd loved him fiercely, and that was mine to keep. Therapy helped me see it. I wasn't just surviving, I was rebuilding, not for them, but for me. Sarah's words echoed, "The people who love you are your real family." I held that truth, my heart lighter, my defiance quiet but sure. Healing begins when you choose yourself. The Houston summer hummed outside our bungalow, cicadas singing in the heavy air. I'm Maggie Winston, 42, real estate agent, finding my footing months after Jessica's wedding, where she tried to poison me for my $500,000 inheritance. The courtroom had sealed her fate, attempted murder charges, no bail, but the scars lingered. My office was a haven, listings piling up, my days steady with open houses and client calls. Therapy had carved out space for peace, teaching me I wasn't defined by Jessica's greed or the years I'd spent caring for Dad. His will, leaving me 70% for my decade of hospital runs and late nights, was a testament to love, not a curse. Mom, Leona, called one evening, her voice brittle over the phone. "Maggie, can we meet?" I hesitated, the memory of her apology still raw. She'd favored Jessica's charm, leaving me to shoulder Dad's care alone, but her tears had been real. I agreed, meeting her at a quiet Houston cafe, its wooden tables worn like our family ties. She sat across from me, eyes red, hands twisting a napkin. "I was wrong," she said. "I saw Jessica's light and missed yours. You carried your father, and I let you. I'm sorry." Her words hit hard, not healing but honest. I nodded, my throat tight. "I forgive you, Mom, but it's different now. I need boundaries." She winced but agreed, her regret a step toward something new. Then came Jessica's plea, a letter through her lawyer, begging to explain. "I wasn't myself," she wrote, claiming stress, not greed. I read it on our porch, the Texas sunset painting the sky orange. My heart ached for the sister I'd loved, her childhood laughter, our shared grief over Dad. But her words felt hollow, a script to dodge justice. I tore the letter, letting the pieces scatter. "No more," I said aloud, my voice steady. I wasn't her keeper anymore, not after she'd aimed a lethal allergy at my life. Robert came home, his firefighter's boots soft on the floor. "You okay?" he asked, sitting beside me. I leaned into him, his warmth my home. Sarah Miller, my college friend, dropped by later, her Houston drawl cutting through the dusk. "You don't owe Jessica anything," she said, handing me a cold lemonade. "You've got us." We laughed, planning a barbecue with neighbors, their support a quiet strength. My phone buzzed, clients, friends, even Mom, texting about dinner, cautious but trying. I wasn't alone anymore. The shift wasn't loud, but it was real. I'd spent years chasing family through blood, thinking it meant duty. Now, I saw family in Robert's steady gaze, Sarah's fierce loyalty, the community that held me without asking for pieces of my soul. Jessica's betrayal had cracked open a truth. I could choose who mattered, and I chose those who stayed. Real family lifts, not breaks. The Houston fall carried a crisp edge, leaves skittering across our bungalow's porch. I'm Maggie Winston, 42, real estate agent, standing stronger after Jessica's wedding, where she tried to poison me for my $500,000 inheritance. The courtroom, the headlines, her attempted murder charges, they'd faded, but the truth had reshaped me. My days were full, guiding clients through Houston's sprawling homes, my smile no longer forced. Therapy had taught me my worth wasn't tied to Jessica's greed or the years I'd spent caring for Dad. His will, rewarding my decade of hospital runs and sleepless nights, was mine to honor, not her prize to steal. I hosted a quiet dinner in our backyard, fairy lights strung above a wooden table. Robert, my firefighter husband, grilled burgers, his laugh warm against the cool air. Sarah Miller, my college friend, brought her famous pecan pie, her Houston drawl filling the night with stories. Neighbors joined, their kids chasing fireflies, their chatter a soft hum of community. This was family, not blood, but bonds built on love, not obligation. Mom, Leona, had called earlier, suggesting a family dinner to heal. I declined, my voice firm. Her regret was real, but I needed space, not her table to mend what Jessica broke. A letter arrived from Jessica, slipped through her lawyer, pleading for forgiveness. I was lost, she wrote, her words inked in careful script. I stood by the fire pit, the Houston sky blazing orange, and held the envelope over the flames. It burned, unopened, ashes curling into the dusk. I didn't need her explanations. Her peanut oil plot, her greed for Dad's estate had said enough. I wasn't the sister who carried everyone's weight anymore. I was Maggie, choosing who deserved my heart. Robert watched, his hand on my shoulder, silent but steady. "You're free," he said, his brown eyes catching the firelight. Sarah clinked her glass, toasting to new beginnings. The neighbors laughed, their voices weaving a net of belonging. I looked around, my chest light, no longer heavy with Jessica's betrayal. I'd spent years chasing family through blood, thinking it meant duty. Now I saw it clearly. Family was Robert's unwavering protection, Sarah's fierce loyalty, the community that held me without asking for pieces of my soul. I smiled, truly smiled, the Texas night wrapping around me like a promise. I was living, not just surviving, building a life with those who saw me. Life begins when you choose who matters. Can you forgive a sister who'd kill for greed, or do you fight to reclaim your truth? What's your breaking point? Share your spark below, and subscribe to my channel for more Reddit stories that hit hard. Stay for the next one. It's gonna burn.